So we just started our discussion on adjectives this past week in class, and I wanted to give you guys some follow-up on that. This is lesson 7, adjectives of the first and second declension. So first of all, you want to make sure you understand what we're talking about with adjectives. Adjectives modify nouns, and they answer the questions: what kind, how many, which one, and whose. Now, in English, we typically place our adjectives before our noun, okay, and they modify that noun. Now, it's not a hard and fast rule, but that is what our typical setup. So let's go ahead and get into one of the first rules that you need to know and understand, and that is the adjectives agree with their nouns in gender, number, and case. We're going to start with gender. So I have here 3 versions of the adjective good. So good is modifying friend. In Latin, friend is amicus, which is masculine. Therefore, our adjective is also going to take on the masculine. It just said adjectives agree with their nouns in gender, number, and case. So gender is what we're talking about. If my noun, here I have a good road. If my noun is feminine, means is feminine, therefore my adjective is going to be feminine. In this situation, I have my noun is name, nomen is neuter. I don't have that spelled right, I just noticed that. And then, so our adjective is also going to be neuter. So anyway, it doesn't matter the adjective that we're using. The adjective good in and of itself is not masculine, feminine, or neuter. It will depend on the noun it modifies. It doesn't matter what declension the noun is. We're just looking at the gender of the declension of the noun. So adjectives take on the gender of the noun that they modify. That's going to take us to Rule 72. And basically, well, here we looked at this. This was our new batch of vocabulary the other day that we looked at. And we took a look at all of them, and we recognized they all had these endings of usa, And so we needed to figure out, where does that come from? So these are the first 3 endings of your nominative singular. Do you see the usa, right here? Usa, So because first declension is typically feminine, our feminine endings are going to come from here. That's the Second declension can either be masculine or neuter, depending on the noun. So we're going to get our masculine endings from this column and our neuter endings from this column. So these are what we call adjectives of the first and second declension, and you will know them. We will call them the usa, adjectives, okay, first and second declension. So we're going to get our endings, depending on gender, from one of these 3 columns. So let's look at the chart. I'm going to have them highlight their chart like this. So if the adjective needs to be masculine, it will take on one of these endings, which comes from second declension. If it's feminine, it will take on one of these, which comes from the first declension endings. If it is neuter, it will take on one of those, which also comes from second declension. This is why we call them first and second declension adjectives. So let's get into the nitty-gritty here. So not only will adjectives match their noun in gender, but also in number and case. So when we say number and case, we're talking about things like nominative plural. So case would be nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, and ablative. Number would be singular or plural. So these examples come from page 73. I'll start with this one here. So we identify we have an adjective and a noun. If I look at my noun, now this is gens dentis. It's the third declension noun. It happens to be feminine. That's really what I'm going for here. It's not really about the declension of the noun. It's about the gender of the noun. So this one is feminine, and it happens to be accusative singular. And I know that because I know my noun endings. So M is right here, accusative singular. It is a third declension noun, and that comes from right here. Okay? So because my noun is feminine, my adjective has to be feminine. I get my feminine endings from the first declension, and I need to find my accusative singular. Do you guys see that right there? Accusative singular, right here. Okay, again, don't get hung up on the idea that this happens to be a third declension noun. The declension of the noun does not matter. The gender of the noun matters. And because this one is accusative singular, this one will be accusative singular. Because this one is feminine, this one will be feminine, and I will get my accusative singular from the first declension. Let's walk through another one. I have all this already written up. So here's our adjective, here is our noun. Now, let's look at our noun first. Nautai is a masculine noun. Doesn't matter what gender it is. It's a masculine noun. The AE actually has multiple options. I went ahead and, oh, here, let me pull it up. I need to get this out of here. Okay. The AE is here, here, and here. So I just looked at it, and I know we're talking about the good sailors, so I figured, well, it's probably nominative plural. It's a little tricky to figure that part out because there's not a lot of context here, all right? We're going to go with nominative plural. So if I come over here, because this guy is masculine, this guy is masculine. So I will have to go to the second declension masculine column to get my ending, and I need the nominative plural ending, which is, again, masculine endings are going to come from this column, and I need the nominative plural. All right, so we are not matching the spelling of the endings. We are matching the case and number. If that's nominative plural, this is nominative plural. All right, let's do another one. Go to your noun first, seros. That is a masculine noun, all right? The OS, now that particular noun, the OS is my accusative singular, plural, accusative plural. All right, so I mark that accusative plural. Because this is masculine, this will be masculine, all right? And then I will go to, for masculine nouns, I go to this column here, this one right here, and I find my accusative plural, which happens to be os. So in this situation, it's coincidental that they are spelled the same. But that's because this happens to be a second declension noun, so therefore, and it's masculine, that they're just going to line up and be the same thing. Okay? Let's come down here. Flumen is a third declension noun, and it's neuter. So the third declension part doesn't matter, but the neuter part does. So if it's neuter, my adjective's going to be neuter. All right? Ibis, it comes after a preposition, so I know I have the ablative plural. All right? So my adjective is going to take the neuter ending. I get my neuter endings right here from this column. Right now, we're only dealing with first and second declension adjectives. So all of your adjective endings are going to come from one of these three columns. So let's go back to this one. I need my ablative plural. So ablative plural is is, right there. Hopefully this makes sense to you, okay? So again, the spelling of the ending does not match. The gender will match. The gender tells you what column that you are going to find your ending. The case and number tells you which specific one you're going to do, okay? So hopefully that makes sense. So let's talk a little bit about declining these guys. So I have this page here. You can see that a noun can be either masculine, feminine, or neuter. They're going to practice declining in their workbooks. I'm just using color to make it easier for you guys to see. They don't need to do that. But anyway, these endings will come from the middle column, the masculine column. The feminine endings will come from first declension. And the neuter endings will come from the neuter of the second declension. All right? So I'll take a picture of this so you guys can see and make sure your kids are getting them declined correctly. The next thing that we need to talk about is the position of the adjectives. So if you look at exercise 84, I had them in class go through and circle all of their adjectives and nouns. We didn't translate in class. We just circled adjectives and underlined nouns. After we did that, we noticed that most of the time the adjective came before the noun. All right? These three were the exceptions to the rule. The adjective came after. So there's actually a pattern and a rule, and that's what this is explaining. And just to cut to the chase, we call it the Walmart rule. Quantity before quality. If your adjective is measuring something quantifiable, like how long it is, how high it is, how deep it is, if it's quantifiable, it's going to come before the noun. If it's a quality, it will come after the noun, like good or bad. There is an exception to the rule down here. We talked about it in class, the fact that sancta is holy. You would think that was a quality one, but they're telling us it's going to go against the rule here. It's going to precede the noun, so we have that one marked up. So let's look at what this will look like translated. Here's exercise 84. So I have them down here like this. So we copy the phrase, and I like labeling. I think it's a great idea so you understand your parts of speech. We have a preposition, an adjective, and an object of preposition. We're going to go to our noun first, and it's going to tell us what we need to be looking for. So I know this noun is flumen. It means river, and it's neuter. So that means my noun over here needs to be neuter. This is also the ablative singular, so this has to be the ablative singular. So as I check my chart, I will notice that to be true. What are we doing? Ablative singular. So even though that's a third declension noun, this is a first, second declension adjective. These are things we just have to memorize. So ablative singular in the neuter column, I've got to come here, ablative singular to the neuter, and that's the O. That's why my alt has an O. Okay, so it means in the deep river. Here's another exercise, another one. There's my preposition. There's my adjective. Here's my object of preposition. I know my preposition takes the ablative. So as I come over here and look, I know that this means army, and it's masculine. Okay, so my adjective is going to take the masculine ending, and this one also is the ablative singular, okay, which we have that way over here. Again, the declension of the noun doesn't matter. I am ablative singular. My noun happens to be fourth declension, but my adjective is first, second declension. So I need to go to I have a masculine noun, so I need to come to the ablative singular of my masculine column. Do you see the O there? That's why I have an O here. Anyway, let me know if you guys have any questions. Hopefully this is helpful.